Cool. Well, hello and welcome to the Nighthawk Racing #First Championship. I'm Sarah Hawkins, also known as Sarah Hawkey, and I'll be your host this evening and one of your co-commentators for this Gran Turismo based championship. I'm joined by motorsport enthusiast, racer, and co-commentator Kirk.
Hello, I'm back in the commentary booth once again with my dear co-commentator Sarah. I am looking forward to what should be hopefully another very entertaining round here tonight at Kyoto Driving Park.
Same. So here's the series rundown. We're back and better than ever for Season 2 of the Nighthawk Racing First Championship. We have an 8-event championship spanning over 16 race sessions and 8 weeks. Lots of different car manufacturers on the grid tonight and potentially 27 drivers and some great tracks on the calendar. The format tonight is similar to the last couple of races in Season 1. So that means that we have 3 official time sessions with a reverse grid sprint race up first, followed by qualifying, and then we will be treated to a 39 lap feature race, all at the fictional track of Kyoto Yamagiwa. Okay, Kirk, could you give me an overview of the event session format and point scale, please, before we get into the sprint?
Absolutely, Sarah. So starting anytime now, we'll have our sprint race, which is based in reverse championship order. We saw last week in the sprint race how the soft tires were absolutely destroyed compared to the medium tires. This could be interesting here tonight, as we know certain cars such as Louis or the Dark Lord's Nissan GTR really likes to chew through the tires. So will he go for a medium tire? The sprint race is open tire choice, so you can choose to start on either the soft or the mediums. It is a rolling start, so hopefully we won't see too much chaos in the first sector with the S's, and that will be a 15-minute race. Following the 15-minute sprint race, we have a few minutes rest in between that, but then we'll go on to qualifying, which is a 10-minute session. The tyre you set your qualifying lap on is the tyre you have to start the race on, unless it is a wet qualifying session, which we class as a 1/3 over the moisture bar, which then the feature race after qualifying will be an open tyre choice start. After qualifying, we'll go into our feature race tonight. As Sarah mentioned before, it is 39 laps around Kyoto Driving Park. It is grid started, so we could see a lot of drama in that first sweeping left-hander, and especially in the S's. As I mentioned before, you would have to start the feature race on the tyre you set your fastest lap on, and then you'd have to use 2 different compounds of tyre during the feature race, whether it be soft mediums, soft hard, or medium hard. That is the only rule for a completely dry race. If we do get any rain, again, what we class a wet track as over 1/3 on the moisture bar, then the tyre rule goes out the window, and it is just open tyre choice for the rest of the race. But yeah, other than that, I think that is all we got to go. If we look at the point system, I think we're going in straight into the race, Sarah.
We have, unfortunately, not got enough time, but we'll run over the point system after this first race here. We'll watch the sprint race, which is just getting ahead now, and then we'll explain the points and we'll have a look at the drivers and some track facts, okay? But Kirk, if you want to take it away, we're on lap number 1 of the sprint race.
Absolutely. As we see Kai leading us away tonight for our sprint race. Obviously a very disappointing week last week for Kai. I'm sure he'll be eager to make amends tonight. Interesting enough, choosing to start on the medium tyre tonight. Obviously he must be banking on everyone else's tyres wearing out later on into the race for him to be able to hold the lead. Followed by Saber or Hassett, He's following P2 on the soft tyres, a promotion tonight. Same with the gentleman in third. Hartman is also a promotion from Split 2, as we see him all over the back of Sabre. Is he going to make a move into this 180-degree left-hander? Can he outbrake Hassett into this corner? They're side by side. He does. It's side by side. Oh, and he gets too eager on the front and he's round into the wall. Oh, Sarah, what happened there?
We'll have a look and see if we can get that on replay. It looks like it goes towards that
It
curb.
looks like
Ooh,
a
unfortunate.
bit too eager on the throttle. A little bit too eager on that throttle pedal, which caused him to loop around. Very disappointing from what was a very promising start from Sabre tonight. But other than that, it gives Kai quite a decent buffer now at the front with a 2.5 second lead from Sabre, followed by Midnight, who is now up in third place, is off to a very good start. And who's that I see going side by side? It is Handy Pint and Koulios. Koulios again being a promotion from last week. Oh, is that a slight bit of contact between them there, Sarah?
Oh, quite a lot of contact between the drivers there. Not what we like to see. I'm not sure if there's a desync going on.
Koulios is round on the straight afterwards, Sarah.
Yeah, it picks up a lot of damage. I'm not quite sure what happened there. A few drivers seem to connect. Hopefully not all of them picking up damage. But yeah, that's definitely one for the stewards to look at afterwards, I shall say. But yes, unfortunately, a few drivers getting tangled up in that. I'm just going to cycle through to make sure a few of them got away damage-free, which was good to see. Unfortunately, Pedro picking up some damage in that.
Just missed Evo absolutely sending it on Handy Pine, but Handy Pine going an absolutely fantastic cutback to retake fourth position from Evo. That battle for fourth says building a little bit of a train up behind him now. As you see, Handy Pine, who got a poor exit from the chicane, maybe outbraked himself a little bit into the final corner, allowing Evo to cut back on him. And now running down the pitch straight, Evo has the lead, but that McLaren we know is not fantastic in a straight line. His Handy Pint tries to look around the outside of Evo, looking into the first corner. Evo squeezing Handy Pint wide at the first corner, but securing that fourth place, Sarah.
Yeah, I think Evo will be looking to get as close as he can towards that podium. Like we'll mention in a little bit when we overview the drivers, Evo definitely is one to look out for. He's definitely kind of one of the best. He'll probably be fighting those top podium drivers very shortly. But yeah, unfortunately getting tangled up in a little bit of lap one drama, shall we say. But gets away kind of damage free, which is good. And we all know that he's very fast in that McLaren. Unfortunately, he had a few issues last week, but he bounced back from them quite quickly. So yeah, getting through the pack quite quickly. Only on lap number 3 round here. And like I say, I'm sure he'll be on the back of Haslett in no time.
I think he might have just tapped Haslett wide a little bit there for P3. But maybe caught out by how early Haslett is broke for that 180-degree left, Sarah. But it's now made the move on him.
Yeah, it gets it done nice and quickly.
And he's off to hunt down Midnight now, Sarah.
He is. Battle of the McLarens.
Yeah, if I'd say a fellow McLaren driver. If you're Midnight, do you think you're feeling the pressure now? Do you think you could hold Evo back for another 10 minutes to secure the second place?
Oh, that is a tough ask. That is a very tough ask. When you've got a driver such as Evo right behind you, you'll be looking in front and behind in your rear view mirror. Because in a few laps or even a few corners time, I reckon Evo will be within touch and distance. And it just depends how kind of defensive Midnight wants to take it, or if he kind of lets Evo through and decides to fight another day.
Maybe I'm just looking at Katie Kai's tyres up front. Them mediums are certainly taking a punishing. That front right seems to be already screaming out for help. and we're only on lap 4, which is not even halfway through this race, Sarah. Katie Kai could struggle to make it to the end on the medium tyre. Let alone if he chose soft, he would already be in big trouble, Sarah.
He would, yeah. I think he made a good decision there going on the medium. So maybe he needed the hards as well. Although they are very terrible to drive on. But yeah, it just shows around a track like this that the tyre wear is extremely high. And a few drivers, I think, will be caught out towards the end of this race. But it will go to help their strategy in the feature race, hopefully.
Absolutely. As we see, Evo is already given it. It's not even been a single lap since he overtook, and Evo is already all over the back of Midnight ISO, Sarah. Would he? If I'm Evo, I'll be probably sitting back for this S's because it's really a one-line section where you don't really see cars going side by side, or you have to be very brave to go side by side for the S's. I'm looking at possibly the run down the hill to that long sweeping left-hander, looking to make a move, maybe around the outside, using the cam to his advantage as he gets a good exit from the S's. Is in that slipstream. Does he go to the inside or outside? He looks to the outside. Can he carry the momentum round the outside? He's certainly making a go of it. Can he hold it? Is Midnight going to run him out of track? That is a fantastic move from Evo, Sarah. Midnight maybe squeezing him on the exit, but there's always going to be plenty of respectful driving and racing room left there, Sarah.
Yeah, these two fighting it out in the TTR WEC series, so they've raced each other quite a few times, knowing each other quite well. So yeah, it's good to see how respectful those two are, showing that the McLarens, well, how to do it in the McLarens, and yeah, like you said, a very respectful move, but a very good move by Evo there, just showing that he can place his car right. But yeah, as we look further back, obviously Midnight will now be looking behind that he's got Handy Pint in that Porsche, and we all know that the last week he was promoted to a podium after an unfortunate penalty for another driver. So yeah, Handy Pint potentially might be, you know, a contender for the podium as well, if not here in the feature race. But he's closing that gap to Midnight. The gap's now under 2 seconds, but right behind him we've got Coach, and like Kirk said, Coach was promoted from Lobby 2 last week into Lobby 1 this week, and already in 5th place. That doesn't go to show kind of how fast Coach is. I don't know what will. But this mid-pack is quite close to... So you go for it, Kirk?
I was just going to say, although we have 2 splits in this league, it shows you that the split 2 drivers certainly aren't slouches, Sarah. Certainly they are mixing it up with the big wigs, such as our Handy Pants and our Dark Lords.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If anything, like you said, that's 100% that although we've got 2 splits, all drivers are beyond talented, beyond quick, and we've got a bunch of aliens here because they're all super quick, and like you say, they all can race each other respectfully. They're all, you know, fighting out hard for those points and those podium positions. So yeah, I'm just scanning through. We've obviously got this a battle here between Coach, Dark Lord and McManley. This group seem quite close to each other. We've then got Callum, our last week's feature race winner, down in 8th at the moment. Obviously that's because he started further back, but Pedro fighting Callum at the moment in that Porsche, and hoping for some better points this week. We've then got Sabre, Hartman and Koulios. Unfortunately, obviously he must have pitted to get rid of that damage, but yeah, unfortunately damage in those first couple of laps, not how Koulios probably wanted to open tonight's race. But I think if anything, it goes to show how easy the car can kind of be a little bit unpredictable around this track. So I think Koulios in the feature race will be taking that on board and being a little bit more careful.
I don't think it was Koulios' fault, or maybe aggressive going side by side in that first section of S's, but I do believe the bit of contact that whacked him into the wall did come from another driver, Sarah. Potentially. I remember there was quite a few people next to each other, so like I say,
not our job. Definitely one for the stewards afterwards. But yeah, it just goes to show that unfortunately with the lobbies, you have to race respectfully. If not, you give the slightest of taps to another driver and it sends them round. So yeah, if anyone kind of gets a bit too close, give them enough room, and then all get round safely, because that's the main thing. All getting round safely, all having a bit of fun.
I just want to make a note that for the battle for the lead and the race is currently heating up. Evo over a second faster last lap than Kai. That gap down to about 3.7 seconds, and it seems to be closing up for every split, Sarah. I do believe the race, the battle for the lead, well, the battle for the win of this race is still on. Obviously, for the podium as well, we've got less than 3 or 4 seconds separating third, which is Midnight ISO, to a which is Pedro and I'll just say Manley in P7. So any one of those 5 drivers could be within a shout for that podium position if it all does start kicking off in front, Sarah.
Yeah, and apart from that kind of first couple lap drama, all drivers have been quite good so far. Obviously, this track can be quite difficult to get used to, and with limited practice, with the twisty corners and kind of the high speeds, it's definitely one that, you know, is a little bit tricky with limited practice. So all drivers doing remarkably well so far, and like I said last week, if the sprint race is anything to go by, we're in for a good feature race in a little bit.
I just want to make a note for that battle of P3. Or from all the cars, well, behind him, Midnight ISO, who is sat in third, currently has the best tyres, and then followed by McManley in seventh. The 3 cars that are Handy Pint, Coach, and Dark Lord, all of their front rights seem absolutely decimated. So this could be easy pickings in the end, towards the end of this race for McManley, and maybe Luke might have that podium more secure than we thought, Sarah.
Potentially. Yeah, as we flick through, just observing what Kirk said there with the tyre wear. Yeah, Coach, I mean, I don't know if anyone watched the commentary from Lobby 2. I'll definitely go recommend it, and we'll be doing the same. Hopefully it'll be uploaded tomorrow or in the next couple of days for Lobby 2, which is going on right now as well. But Coach in Lobby 2 last week, in the feature race, and the sprint race actually, he drove on rims, and he was still quite fast even driving on rims, and it just goes to show now, again, driving on rims again, he's definitely no stranger to no tyre in this game. He seems to still handle it quite well.
I'm going to interrupt you because the battle for the lead is heating up. Evo all over the back of Kai. Kai's front right is completely destroyed. Can either get a better run out the final corner. He does get a better run out the final corner. He has to sit in the slipstream. As that we know that McLaren is not the greatest in a straight line. He is looking to go around the outside of turn 1 on Kai. Can he outbrake Kai into the first corner? He does. He tries to carry the momentum around the outside. Kai is forced to hold it to the inside on those destroyed tyres. In the end, quite an easy overtake for Evo. But can Kai hold it through the high-speed S's? Obviously, I know that front right has seen better days, but can he get... No, the understeer is just too much for him to be able to really challenge Evo down towards the sweeping right, Sarah.
Yeah, what a move that was. All of a sudden, Evo was in the back of Kai. I don't know when that happened, but it just goes to show how fast Evo is, and how it doesn't take him any time at all to catch up any driver, really. Obviously, because Evo's starting towards the back end of the grid. He's climbed through that pack pretty safely and also pretty quickly. So just goes to show that hopefully he's in for a good feature race as well, and hopefully no technical difficulties like he did last week.
What a move from Manley, running down the hill into that triple chicane, going round the outside of Dark Lord. Not a move you see very often, let alone going round the outside of him. Sarah, that is what was a fantastic move from Manley to secure P6 in this sprint race tonight. I don't think we're going to see any more overtakes now. I think it's all kind of settled itself out with Evo taking the win after 15 minutes, followed by Kai in second and Midnight ISO in P3. It certainly shows how if you could keep your tyres alive, you certainly had the advantage during this race, Sarah.
I couldn't agree more. Obviously, everyone with even a tiny bit of tyre wear left. Oh, what happened to Callum? Callum picking up a lot of damage there. I've only just spotted that. Maybe a last lap kind of incident happened there. But yeah, just goes to show anyone with tyre life in them, they could go that little extra bit, carrying a lot more speed into corners. So yeah, I think it definitely helped those front runners towards the end, having even a tiny bit of tyre life left, as opposed to people that were driving on rims. Because I don't like the fact that when you drive on rims, the car just becomes so unpredictable. I'd be terrible at that, because I kind of like to know where the car's going. So drivers who are driving on no tyres are definitely braver than what I could do. So, now that we've got a little bit more time, Kirk, could you please explain the points to our viewers? We didn't have time before the sprint race, so we'll go back to it and have a look. But yeah, Kirk will talk through the points for the sprint and the feature race, as well as qualifying and the fastest lap for both races.
Absolutely. So taking tonight, the maximum amount of points from the sprint race was Evo, who picked up the fastest lap and won the race. So he will get the 1 bonus point for the fastest lap and 20 points for the win. As you can see for the sprint race, the points range from 20 down to 2. So there's always 3 to play for. Even if you have an incident early on in the race and you find yourself towards the back, there's always something to fight. Always something to fight for. For example, Koulios got into an incident early on, but he kept going round, finished 12th, and secured an easy 4 points to help him in the championship. Going from the sprint race, we'll go into qualifying, where the top 3 will get extra points. Whoever puts it on pole will get 3 bonus points. Whoever qualifies second gets 2 points, and whoever rounds out the podium in P3 gets 1 point in the qualifying. And that will take us on to our main event, where you could receive from 40 to 4 points. Obviously, we need a maximum of 42 points if you win the race and get fastest lap. So a lot of points up for grabs. And again, even if you do get into a little incident early on, and you find yourself towards the back of the pack, even finishing P12 will still net you a decent hauling of 8 points. So there's always something to fight for in this championship, Sarah.
Points makes prizes, and it's worth, like you say, even if you're having a bad race or having a kind of a, you're not climbing up as many positions as you thought. It's better just to finish the race, because you're bringing home points, and they all help towards the end of the championship when those drivers are fighting for those few extra points. So definitely worth kind of sticking it out if you can. But thank you very much, Kirk, for running through the points. Appreciated. So we're in for another treat again this week. Although Swizzy isn't racing today, unfortunately, he did provide us with a hot lap. So, before we go into qualifying and talking about the drivers, I'm just going to show you Swizzy's hot lap around. Oh, not this one. Here it is. Enjoy. Right, so before we get into qualifying, which is just about to start now, we're just going to give a little overview of the drivers. I hope you enjoyed Swizzy's hot lap, and from next week, Kirk will be giving running commentary alongside the hot lap, providing people with some insights of, Swizzy's hot lap, what apexes he's hitting, the exit speed. So definitely be here for next week, as we'll have Kirk as well providing commentary while Swizzy's doing his hot lap. But yeah, thank you again, Swizzy, for doing that hot lap. Now on to talking about the drivers. So first up is Koulias. Koulias was in Lobby 2 last week and had a brilliant feature race, picking up a second place finish. For Season 2, Koulias has decided to go for a new challenge in driving the Subaru BRZ. In Season 2, Koulias is hoping for a close racing and to have some fun. And I know one thing, the stewards are hoping for less rage quits from him. Sorry, Koulias. After round 1, Koulias is in 10th place with 30 points. Next up, we have Evo. Evo is a newcomer to the championship, but by far is not a newcomer to sim racing. Evo is definitely champion material. He is super quick and he's able to pull off impeccable races. For example, last week, after a slight technical difficulty, Evo was still able to fight his way through to podium positions. Evo is the TED Tracks Racing Community Manager and TTR WEC founder. Evo is in second place currently with 50 points and is driving the McLaren 650S. And then next up, we have our very own Coach. Coach is back and is racing full-time in Season 2 after showing his racecraft in Season 1. Coach is ready to be fighting the drivers in Lobby 1 after narrowly missing out on Lobby 1 last week, but had a double win in Lobby 2, proving how fast and talented Coach really is. Coach is driving one of his favourite cars in the Toyota Supra. But I've got one question to ask Coach. Is that a Supra? Coach is in 5th place with 40 points currently. Next up, we have McManley. McManley, who came 3rd in Season 1, is sticking with the Mercedes AMG for this season. McManley was a frequent podium position driver in Season 1, battling with the drivers around him, and is not afraid to stick his elbows out. McManley is looking to do the same for Season 2. He's currently in 6th place with 39 points. Next up, we have Pedro. Pedro is one of the Nighthawk admin team, and he's back driving the Porsche 911, a car which he finds very comfortable and is able to extract every inch of performance out of. Last season, Pedro narrowly missed out on 3rd place overall. This season, Pedro is looking to keep on improving his skill set, have some fun, while helping other drivers improve and strengthen his bonds with the community members that he knows well as meeting new people. Pedro is in 7th place with 32 points. And then last up from me, before we hand over to Kirk, we have Handy Point. Handy Point is a new driver within the championship and is looking to have good results as well as fun, clean racing. Well, I think you're definitely in the right place for that, Handy Point. He's driving the Porsche 911 with what I've got to say is a beautiful looking livery, which we'll show you very shortly in qualifying and the feature race. Handy Pipe picked up a podium in the sprint race last week, like I mentioned, after a penalty for another driver, showing how close Handy Pint is to the top of the grid. He's currently in 8th place with 31 points. And I'm going to hand you over to Kirk, who will give you an overview of the other drivers.
Absolutely. First of all, we started off with Midnight. It was a tale of two races last week. For our for one of our very own, finishing an unfortunate P12 in the sprint race after what could only be seen as a very disappointing race. However, in the feature race, he managed to turn what was a poor start to the season around, securing a very impressive fifth place finish thanks to some genuine pace and some fantastic strategy, as we all come to expect from him. I'm sure he'll excel again tonight in the feature race, but he has to make the most of the sprint. After that, we've got the Dark Lord, or Louis, as someone who's very well known around these parts. An almost electric at times showing from him last week, winning our very first sprint race of the season, and following up with a possibly slightly underwhelming and disappointing from his end sprint race after making a mistake. Well, feature race, rephrase. After making a mistake earlier on, which forced him to a recovery drive. Obviously, he's finishing P6 in the end, but I'm sure this week we'll see him on the podium today in the feature race. After that, we have Callum. First of all, I want to apologise for Callum for calling him Malcolm most of last week. After finishing seventh in the sprint race, you would expect him to take the battle to Swizzy in the feature race, but thanks to some crazy pace and superior strategy call, left Swizzy with little defence. Once Callum come charging on the softs, there was no stopping him. I'm sure this time out he'll be looking to win this feature race again, although you never know in the end. And after that we have Hartman joining from joining split one tonight. We have him after finishing P6 in the sprint race. After going slightly under the radar, he responded by driving a very, very solid sprint feature race, shall I rephrase. Finishing on the podium, I'm sure he'll be open to mix it up with the big wigs tonight, but only time will tell to see where he truly lies within this pack. And then we have Haslett, or as you would know him as Saber Venom. Another person who is joining Split 1 tonight, after finishing fifth in the sprint race and fourth in the feature race. I'm sure he'll be trying to show everyone his true pace by mixing it up in the top 8 or so tonight. And then finally we have KD Dekai, who after a disappointing showing from last week, I'm sure he'll be eager to improve this week. After a sprint race that saw him made a mistake early on, and end up finishing P10, to again following an incident-filled feature race, which also left him to finish in P10. I'm sure if he can get on top of the mistakes here tonight, he can certainly be challenging towards the front of the pack, as we saw in the sprint race with him finishing P2, Sarah.
Yeah, Kai following that upward trend. Hopefully, like you say, more podiums. He was a frequent podium driver in season 1, so we all know that he's more than capable of getting those good points and good results. But we've got a few minutes of qualifying left. Just going to show you last week's sprint race podium from Lobby 1 last week, as you can see. And as Kirk mentioned, Louis, aka the Dark Lord, winning our first sprint race of the season, followed by Evo in second, and then Handy Point in third. Like I say, a promotion up into the podium, which nothing to complain about. And then this is our feature race podium from last week. So we had Callum, as Kirk said, showing a superior strategy and having a lot of speed as well in first place. We then had Swizzy, our last season's champion, in P2. And P3 we then had Evo after a little bit of a technical difficulty, fighting his way back up to third place. So yeah, all drivers on the podium last week. A huge congratulations, and we'll see who is on the podium this week. As I just go back to the main race feed, we are just joining the last few remaining minutes of the qualifying. So we'll give you some track facts while we're kind of waiting to see who sets our second pole of the season. So tonight we're at the Kyoto Driving Park using the Yamagiwa track layout. The track itself is 3 miles or 4.9 kilometers long. The Yamagiwa circuit is a fictional circuit that first appeared in Gran Turismo Sport, a game that we all kind of hold close to our hearts, and the track itself is based in Japan. The track is notable for its numerous turns of varying radii. The radius for each turn is marked at the corner entry on the track itself. The circuit itself is mostly high speed, as we saw in the sprint race, but does contain moments of complexity, such as the ascending S-bends in the first sector. From turns 2 to 5 is a series of high-speed S-bends that can be cleared flat out. The steering timing is important here, as the wrong rhythm will not allow you to make the turns effectively. Turn 15 has an uneven surface and wraps around, making it difficult to gain traction. This has a tendency to produce large variations in exit speed, and obviously people being in different cars, this will definitely show in the feature race. But Kirk, any thoughts about the track that we're driving tonight?
Kyoto is never a track that agreed with me personally. I find it's a track that, due to multiple long sweeping corners, or high-speed sweeping corners, really, really affects the front right. As we saw in the sprint race, obviously multiple drivers, even on the mediums, not being able to make them last 15 minutes. And again, as you mentioned in the first sector, having that crucial, that them really fast S-bends, which you have to get right and take flat, otherwise you could lose 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 tenths on the run down the hill to that to a long sweeping right at the left, should I say, at the start of sector 2. And then after that, the sweeping right, you've got that triple run down, again, another run down the hill to that triple chicane. This track is a track that you really need to attack the curbs on all the time. There's loads of time to find if you can nail them curbs correctly, and especially if you can use all of them on the exit corners. But other than that, yeah, I think we'll mainly see medium and hard tyres tonight. I think this track is too aggressive on the tyres to really think about using the soft tyres tonight, Sarah, although it may give an advantage for a few laps.
Yeah, it's that kind of that debate as to whether you go longer, but obviously it kind of hurts your pace a little bit, or do you go for kind of the fast tyres, pit a little bit more than a few other drivers, and feel a little bit quicker on track. So yeah, it'll be intriguing to see what drivers go for what strategy here. But we are just on the final lap of qualifying, I believe, with Evo setting a pole time of a 1:32.3. We then have McManley pipping into second place, setting a 1:32.9. 2 tenths behind him, we then have Handy Pint, who's currently sitting in the pits. We then have Callum, our last week's feature race winner, in P4, setting a time of a 1:33.2. We then have Coach in 5th place. Coach seems to like the number 5. It's treating him well so far, but setting a lap time of a 1:33.5. In P6 currently, we have KD the Kai. And then, Kirk, if you want to run down from P7 to 12 for me.
P7, maybe it's a little bit disappointing for Dark Lord after obviously winning the sprint race last week. We have him in P7, followed by Midnight in P8. I'm sure, knowing the strength of this field, I'm sure Midnight is very happy with P8, and he will certainly be looking to pick some more places up during the race. Obviously, we expect fantastic strategy call as always, inconsistency that usually sees him make places up during the race. P9, we have Pedro. Again, another one like Midnight, someone who isn't the fastest outright, but with good strategy call and consistency, really finds himself going towards the front of the pack during the event. And then 10th, 11th, and 12th are our 3 promotion drivers: Hartman, Koulios, and Haslett or Saber Venom. Sarah.
Yes, like you say, a few drivers that I think, well, I know will be very happy from where they qualified. The 3 promotion drivers at the bottom of the grid, but I'm sure they'll be fighting their way through during the race. A lot of them, all of them are very talented, and I'm sure that they'll they'll bring out some brilliant drives in the feature race. But yeah, sorry, I was just dealing with a little bit of technical difficulty on my side. But yeah, I mean, some really fast times set there in qualifying. Like you say, a few people potentially may be out of place, but a lot of drivers I think will be definitely happy from where they qualified for the feature race. Some that may be looking to get a couple of places forwards, or potentially be happy where they are. But yeah, all round a very good qualifying session, very fast times, and excited for the feature race, which should be commencing anytime soon. But yeah, who's your bets on here for the feature race then, Kirk? Calling it early.
After seeing Evo qualify on pole by over 6/10, surely you'd be stupid not to bet on him for at least to get a podium. Yeah, to at least get a podium. Again, other quick drivers such as Kai. We know if he can keep it clean, he could certainly be up there for challenging podiums. It'd be interesting to see how quick Coach is off the line. Obviously, started on the soft tyre compared to everyone in front of him being on the mediums. He'll certainly be one to watch as we get started. Other drivers, I'm certainly looking out for Callum as well. Obviously, someone who won the feature race last week. I'm certainly expecting him to be up towards the front tonight. Other than that, I'm certainly expecting to see a lot of close battles. Third, fourth, and fifth were separated by about three tenths in qualifying. So I'm sure there will be nick and tuck during the race. And then obviously we saw in Brazil it took quite a few laps before everyone settled into their own place. We saw a lot of battling on the first few laps. And I think again this track will also see a lot of battles break out. It'd be interesting to see if anybody braves to go side by side through the first sector, Sarah, especially with them fast S's.
Yeah, I can envision a lot of people battling it out in those sectors there. It's one of those things you want to battle in those high speed sections, but you want to kind of keep it safe as well. So it'll be intriguing to see kind of if people are going to push or they're going to play it safe. But yeah, currently on screen now we have the driver standings. We've mentioned a few positions already when we were talking about the driver overview, but the drivers are just taking a few minutes break before we get ready for our hour-long racing action. So yeah, obviously a few drivers there are racing in lobby 2, but we have Callum in first position in the championship at the moment with 53 points. We then have Evo, Swizzy, who's unfortunately not racing tonight. We then have Louis, aka the Dark Lord. We have Coach, that promotion from lobby 2 in 5th place. McManley, Pedro, Handy Point, Midnight, Kulios, Hartman, Haslett. They're all rounding out the lobby 1 drivers that we see tonight. In lobby 2 we have Bertie, Lee, KD the car, obviously he's back in lobby 1. We then have Yvonne, Sophia, Deadline and Sharon all competing in lobby 2 at the moment as we speak. And like I say, that will be uploaded to the YouTube later on. But yeah, everyone getting some good points after round 1, and I'm sure they'll be looking to improve that trajectory through the season, getting up into those top 10 positions. But yeah, I've got to say I'm proud of all the drivers so far. After round 1 we had a brilliant showing of everyone in both splits. Referring back to what Kirk said, although there's 2 splits, both lobbies are just as talented as each other. So yeah, I'm excited. Although we're only in round 2, I'm excited for the rest of the season to see kind of where everyone ends up. But I believe that the drivers are getting ready to go. But yeah, Kirk, looking forward to race number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm certainly especially the grid start. I'm expecting it to be a bit of organized chaos, if you will. 'Cause obviously being a very high speed first sector, nobody's really gonna want to lose touch with each other, and obviously being very tight in the S's, I'm expecting to see certainly a little bit of rubbing. I'm also expecting in the first few laps maybe a possible opportunistic move going into the third sector for the run down the hill into that triple chicane. I'm certainly expecting to see someone maybe send it down the inside early on, try and get some clear track in front of them. And then I'm also another interested stat is to see how the strategy works out because obviously we see, yeah, I believe the only driver starting. Well, we've got two drivers who are starting soft tires, and that's Coach and and Sabre to Venom. Be interesting how they start compared to the medium runners around them, um, especially in the first few laps, Sarah.
Yeah, talking about the first few laps, we're getting ready for the start. So, Kirk, if you want to take it away and cover the start
Absolutely.
for me.
Yeah, I will do gladly. As we start tonight, our grid lines up. We have 3, 4, 5 lights. We wait for them to go out, and then the lights go out as we see McManley absolutely jumping Evo off the start, taking a clear and decisive lead into the first corner. With Callum holding P3 for now, who gets a bit of a tap from behind from Handy Pint, trying to maybe hold back Coach, who's on them soft tyres. Coach, who makes a position up into P4. As you see people braving going side by side, we see Louis leading the way, leading that multiple pack of the cars behind. Everyone getting through the S's cleanly. As we see KD Kai possibly looking up the inside of Handy Pint, thinks better of it. I'm sure if I'm Handy Pint, I want to clear Coach as soon as he starts them softs start dropping off, because we know those softs do not last long. As you see a battle up the front, Evo maybe going for a slight look down the inside of Manley. Thinks better of it for now, but he follows McManley up the hill, tucking in behind that rear wing. Is he going to go for an opportunistic dive into this hairpin? He does. He looks the inside. He's now side by side with McManley as he made the move. Oh, he pushes McManley wide slightly. That is right on the borderline of how much space has to be given, as that forces McManley to go side by side with Callum. Callum possibly looks for a cutback up into the final corner. He doesn't quite get the run from that chicane and sits behind for now, Sarah. In this first lap, we've seen Evo drop down second and then make it go back up to first with an audacious move up the inside of the 180-degree hairpin, Sarah.
Yeah, what a first lap that was. It was, I mean, it was very clean, apart from obviously a little bit rubbing. But what do they say? Rubbing is racing at the end of the day. But yeah, everyone getting away cleanly in that first lap. And thank you very much, Kurt, for doing the lap 1 commentary. Very well done. Good job. But yeah, I mean, Evo seems to be running away with it now. But yeah, McManley getting a flying start. Apart from that, everyone, like I say, everyone away in their own little groups, but got away very nicely. Looking to settling into the race, into lap number 2. Obviously, the lap 1 chaos is out of the way now. It's time to look forward into the rest of the race, which we've still got 37 laps of Yamagiwa to go.
I'm not sure what happened between Pedro, but Pedro is now running out the back of our field tonight behind the 3 promoted drivers who got promoted tonight. We've seen Midnight also drop a position to Hartman. I'm not sure what happened down towards the back of the pack, but 2 of the admins both off to not the greatest of starts, Sarah.
No, unfortunately that Porsche, as much as I love it, it's not very good on the start, so potentially maybe kind of an issue on the start. But Pedro makes up a position there, overtaking Haslett, aka Sabre Venom. But yeah. Oh, as I say that, Sabre Venom spins off in the background.
You get a replay, Sarah. What happened there?
I will try my bestest. We'll see if we can catch that on replay. But comes around that last corner. Potentially, again, just getting on that accelerator just a little bit too early. And unfortunately, the barrier greeting him nice and quickly. But yeah, he gets going again, which is good to see.
Absolutely. Up front, Evo getting that gap to 1.5 seconds now. As we see McManley holding back Callum for now, and then we see Coach whose soft tyres are still holding up well for now. As he actually sets the fastest middle sector of anyone in this race so far. We have Katie Kai in P5, losing a little bit of touch to the 3 cars in front of him. With Louis up into P6, Andy Pint 7th, Hartman in 8th, Midnight 9th, Koulios 10th, Pedro 11th, who's obviously benefited from Sabre Venom's misfortune in the previous lap, up into P11, and he's all over the back of Koulios, Sarah.
He is, yes. Koulios, again, one of the promotions, like you say. I think maybe finding it potentially a little bit difficult after limited practice. This track is definitely kind of one of the more difficult tracks that we've got on the calendar. Because like we said when we were doing the overview, it's very high speed. So when you take those corners a little bit nervously or kind of a little bit apprehensive, it does lose you quite a lot of time compared to if you just kind of keep going. But I think Koulios he'll be looking forward. He's in lobby 1. He's driving with some other talented drivers as well. So kind of showing that he's improving his race skills the more that he races. Obviously, I think Koulios is more of a fan of kind of the old school kind of BTCC kind of touring cars. So the GT3's a little bit out of his comfort zone, but he's improving race on race.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I say he was the top qualifier from our little promotion trio at the back of the pack, and he's held position off the start. Even though Hartman is now our lead from the back three promoted drivers. Hartman is now leading them 3 in P7. Which is, I'd say, a very impressive start to be in front of the likes of Louis and Midnight. But yeah, I think it's they're certainly doing well. The promoter drivers are certainly doing well so far, Sarah, as that battle for P2 still continues up at the front. Mobali must have the widest Mercedes in the planet, Sarah, as he's got the 3 drivers of Callum, Coach, and Kai behind him, Sarah.
Yeah, I was just on board with that battle here. The soft tyres wearing out very quickly. Obviously, only 5 laps in and already half gone, and that's kind of the same. Same at Manley and Callum are on the medium, so they've got that little bit more kind of traction compared to Coach behind them. But Coach being on the faster tyre, he'll be looking to try and get as close as he can to these 2 in front, if not overtaking them. But yeah. The 2 in front, Callum and McManley, getting very close. A few little drifty moments that I saw the previous lap. So we could potentially... McManley going a little bit wide onto the grass there, unfortunately going back into Coach's way. And Coach goes up to 3rd place. We'll see if we can try and get that on replay.
Really? So as it looks like is that McManley possibly outbraking himself, running down into that final chicane, feeling the pressure from Callum in that McLaren, just outbraking himself onto that grass, and then really just parking, obviously on the curb, really left Coach nowhere to go apart from into the side of him, and in the end that little excursion has cost him 4 positions in the end to Callum, Coach, Kai, and Handy Pint, Sarah.
Yeah, that goes to show how close all the drivers are. In fact, that the tiniest little off excursions. Couldn't speak there, got my tongue tied. But yeah, it just shows that little moment he had off to the grass has lost him quite a few positions. But the drivers being all close together and getting back into the pack, just behind Handy Point. Obviously, Coach leading this pack now. Well, Callum leading the pack as well. But I think Callum will be looking to get as close as he can to Evo, who's got a 5.2 second gap to the rest of the field. So he's kind of in the world of his own at the moment, enjoying the free track that he has in front and behind him.
I've just got to say, this has allowed Callum to be unleashed. Now, as we see in the first and second sector, running about half a second faster now that he's cleared McManley to what he was behind McManley. So hopefully he'll be able to put the pressure on to Evo, even if Evo has extended that gap slightly during this race. It seems like McManley is past Kai. There's a possible incident between some drivers. Is Kai losing 2 positions to McManley and Hartman. Hartman running a very impressive P6 early on, Sarah. But we still got this little train, but now Coach is our conductor. Although I believe he's not quite pitting this lap. We got a P3 train. I say our conductor is Coach, a coach conductor, if you will. With handy pipe and Hartman running in that little train, Sarah.
Yeah, all these drivers quite close to each other, like you say. Coach being the conductor of this train, we've then got Handy Pint, McManley, and Hartman. Katie the Kai not too far back from the train. Their own little group there. We've got Katie the Kai, the Dark Lord, aka Louis, as well as Midnight. We then have Kulios and Pedro battling it out, and then Haslett, aka Saber Venom, 40 seconds behind the rest of the grid.
He'd kind of running very wide on that long left-hander, should I say, putting himself under unnecessary pressure, possibly from Louis. And he don't close the door fully on Louis, which allows Louis to cut back on him through the S's as he gets very loose again. Louis going to get that going around the outside for this right-hander, which gives him the inside line for the hairpin. Can he outbrake Kai to the hairpin? Not quite. He gets a little tap from behind, but Midnight give him a tell him to hurry up a little bit. But in the end, quite a simple move from Louis, which also now puts Kai under pressure from Midnight. Midnight possibly thinking better of it going into this little single apex chicane. But Kai rear tyres must be absolutely shot as Midnight just sweeps around the outside of him in the end, Sarah.
Yeah, I was wondering
really
if Midnight could split the two GTRs up, and he does in fact do that onto lap number 8. But yeah, KD the Kai still on the back of Midnight. Like you say, I think a little bit he's struggling with the tyre wear, as opposed to the other drivers that are on mediums. They've still got that little bit more life compared to KD the Kai. Just goes to show that the GTI might be quite a quick car, but it also burns through rubber like it's nothing.
As we see, in the second sector, McManley looking at the inside of Handy Pipe. A Handy Pipe forcing him to take the tight and narrow line to allow him to get the better run down the hill. McManley getting quite a simple move there in the end. Can Handy Pipe look to go around the outside of him? No, McManley parks it on the apex. He does not make the same mistake twice as he did to Callum, and does not outbrake himself, and keeps P3 for now, Sarah. As we see Hartman also going up into P5, making a move on Coach, whose tyres are absolutely shot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Coach's tyre wears unfortunately kind of resulted in him dropping a few positions out of the podium for now. But I think Coach he's not one to let them hold him back. He'll either be pitting soon or he'll be driving on the rims for a few laps to try and make his strategy work as best as he can. But yeah, I think McManley will be definitely smiling that he's back up into those podium positions after kind of a tricky kind of opening stint. So yeah, I believe some of the drivers will be coming in shortly. As I say that, I must have known. So we have Dark Lord, aka Louis, and KD the Kite both pitting from mediums. It'll be intriguing to see what tyres they go on. It's quite early into the race as well.
Louis or Dark Lord taking no fuel and just going for a straight set of mediums, which is possibly a smart idea. Running the car light is certainly going to be quicker than running it heavy. As we see Pedro in the wall. I'm not sure what's happened there, Sarah.
We'll see if we can get a replay. Ooh, Kulios and Pedro getting a little bit close. and Pedro unfortunately touching a little bit of grass. Like I say, when everyone tells gamers to go touch some grass, us sim racers, we do not want to touch grass because it makes the car do some unpredictable things. But yeah, unfortunately,
Well,
I think Pedro will be looking.
Pedro.
Sorry, go for it.
Pedro very skillfully managing to keep it out of the barrier, doing a little pirouette and continuing on his way. Maybe be a little bit angry with Kyrgios because it looks like Kyrgios might have unintentionally given him a little bit of contact that may have slightly forced him wide and caused him to go on the grass and spin.
Yeah, like you say, I think Pedro skillfully keeping it out of the barrier, getting no damage, which will help towards the end of the race, and yeah, potentially maybe again one for the stewards to look at afterwards. But like we've referred to, it's very hard to go side by side through some of those sectors there, especially those high speed S kind of corners and high speed sector. So I mean, it's brave for them to go side by side, but it's also risk versus reward. If you pull it off, great. If you don't, and there unfortunately is a little bit of contact, then it's quite detrimental. But a few more people coming in. Handy Pint going on to a set of mediums, which drops him back to 11th place.
Interestingly enough, Coach, who's on the soft tyre, is still continuing to go around. Although both his right-hand tyres are completely naff, Sarah.
Yes, he pulled off a very similar performance last week in Lobby 2 in the I think the feature race. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, he pulled off the same sort of strategy. Like I say, he's one to get every inch of rubber out of those tyres. I tell you, we don't know when he's going to pit. We didn't know. Me and Midnight, when we were watching it back, we still couldn't really know when he was going to pit or not, because he did drive on the rims for quite a long time, but seems to be quite confident driving on not a lot of rubber. Like I say, he's a braver man than what I would be able to kind of do on that amount of rubber. I'd be spinning left, right, centre. I'm not very good when it comes to no tyres. We also have McManley and Hartman coming in. This is quite... I didn't realise this track is it burns through rubber quite a lot. Obviously, we're only 11 laps in, so that means it's at least a 2-stop race, if not 3-stop for some people.
That's going possibly medium hard. You see, these soft tyres are not lasting that long. Interestingly enough, though, Key Kai is going on to the soft tyres behind Dark Lord in 5th. But we've seen them soft tyres can barely make it 5 laps. Very interesting strategy call there from Key Kai, Sarah.
Yeah, potentially. He's seen the drivers around him going for that slightly harder compounder tyres in the mediums, obviously going a little bit longer into the race. And maybe he thought, well, this is my time to try and overtake as many people as I can, getting on that soft set of tyres. But obviously that will result in him pitting a lot sooner than the drivers around him. So again, it's risk versus reward. In the short term, it might help him, as we see him overtaking the Dark Lord just now, going into that final sector. So it proves, obviously, it does work, and he'll have to try and get as close as he can to the drivers in front of him to make that strategy pull off. As we see Evo going into the pits, getting a new set of mediums, which promotes Callum into the lead, a position that he got last week and kind of run away with it. So can he do the same? Obviously, he hasn't pitted just yet. He'll be looking to extend that gap to Evo.
It'd be interesting to see whether Callum just tries to undercut Evo, or even do one less pit stop, and force Evo to catch him up. So Evo comes out splitting KD the Kai and Dark Lord or Louis. Sure, this is played into Louis' favour. Obviously, Louis boxing already, and coming out just behind Evo puts him in a net P2, and obviously KD Kai, who maybe a little bit out of sync, as He's got medium softs. He's currently net leader this race, Sarah.
Yeah, setting a purple sector there. But obviously he's got Evo right behind him, who will be looking to get past as soon as he can. Like you say, to try and prevent Callum.
From either under or overcutting him. But if I'm Evo, I want to be clearing Key Dekai soft tyres before they really start going off. Because once they start going off, you're just going to be losing buckets of time if you don't deal with it quickly, Sarah.
Yeah, and I don't think Evo will be wanting to kind of sit in traffic if he doesn't have to. As we see Callum coming into the pits, taking on some fuel and a new set of mediums, which promotes Coach into first place, who still hasn't pitted. He's still running on those original set of soft tyres, so pulling off a unique strategy, shall we say, but seems to be holding on to it. I reckon by the time he pits, there'll be no rubber left on his tyre. It'll just be completely metal rims, and maybe he will actually then become a train, because we all know he was conducting that little train earlier, but I didn't know he was kind of converting himself into a train with those rims. But yeah, like I say, he did that in Lobby 2 yesterday, the other week, so he's no stranger to driving on minimal tyres.
If it works for him, let him cook, is what I say. Interesting strategy call further down the pack. We see McManley on the hard tyres. We saw Sophia or S02 last week at Interlagos, where the hard tyre did not really work at all. Not really work at all for her. I'm wondering maybe obviously a lot less mechanical grip required around this track, a lot more aerodynamic. Obviously, I'm sure he'll be losing a bit of time from the medium tyres to start off with, but it'll be interesting to see how far he can take him into the race, Sarah.
Yeah, like you say, I don't think it will cost him. It might not cost him a great deal of time compared to obviously Sophia in Interlagos, but we all know that the hard tyres in this game, the physics aren't quite right, so potentially it might cost him a bit of time, but also it depends if he feels comfortable driving on them or not, because like I say, those different physics can throw a little bit of kind of a difficult situation into proportion towards the end. But I think it might not be the tyres, it might be the fuel that prevents him going the rest of the race, so I'm intrigued to see how long he can take them. But we see Coach coming in, finally getting off those set of softs, going on to a set of mediums.
You're about to have a change up at the front of the race. Katie Kai's soft have finally hit the wall where they don't have any more grip to offer, as Evo looks to the inside of Kai. He keeps it tight. Kai probably knows this isn't probably says to himself, this isn't my fight to fight, and lets Evo go through without too much hassle in the end. That now leaves Kai in P2, about 2 seconds clear from Dark Lord / Louis. This track really, although they're in P2 and 3, Sarah, this track, this high degradation circuit, really is not suiting the GTR.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it so far. Obviously, it hasn't been long. Correct me if I'm wrong, it hasn't been long since Kaylee the Kai was in the pits, and that front right is already looking like it wants to go back into the pits. So it just shows how high that tyre degradation is around here. I think the only thing kind of helping the GTRs is that it's still got quite a lot of raw pace, but yeah, the tyres are just not helping the two GTR drivers today. Obviously, like as I just say, that front right is completely gone already. So yeah, unique strategy of going into the set of softs, but he'll be having to pit soon, and yeah, maybe towards the end he might gain a few positions again, but yeah, unfortunately KD the Kai looking like you'll have to pit very soon. And Evo back in the lead, already generated a 1.8, well 1.9 sec, well nearly 2 seconds. I might as well just say it's 2 second gap now. It's creeping up, and the Dark Lord catching up to KD the Kai.
So as the KD Kai softs are now got nothing left to give, especially on the left-hand turns. This being a counter-clockwise circuit really punishes the front right, especially and them long sweeping corners. I can certainly tell you this is not a track made for the the softest tyre, Sarah. Interesting to note, Malcolm in P4, obviously catching both Louis and KD the Kai at the moment. Currently, compared to last lap, about 1.5 tenths slower in Evo last lap. It'd be interesting to see if he can really work on closing that gap compared to Evo, or is Evo got this race in the bag already, Sarah?
Ooh, I think Evo is definitely champion material, so he'll be looking to secure that win with probably quite a big gap. But you never know. Things happen during the race. We've still got around about half the race to go, so yeah, it's all to play for currently. And I think maybe a tiny bit too early to call who the winner is, but I think Evo is definitely one to bet on at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Evo's last 3 laps. A 33.206, a 33.276, and a 33.266. Its last 3 laps have all been within a tenth of each other, Sarah.
If that doesn't show consistency, I don't know what will.
Basically, this lap he just set a new PB of a 33.1. Obviously, quite enjoying life at the front of the pack. His next closest rival, who can't quite keep up with him, is Malcolm, who Callum, should I say, setting a 33.3, Sarah.
Yeah, and Callum in that McLaren this week, I think struggling a little bit with the tyre wear. But as I say that, Callum goes for a move on Louis, gets the move done, hugs that apex nice and tightly, making Louis go out onto that outside line and getting the move done quite early. So that was a good time to jump over to Callum.
Yeah, and now it's the hunt down KD the Kai and that fractured right. I'm sure it'd be an easy pass in the end. If KD Kai don't pit at the end of this lap, I'm sure it'll be quite a simple overtake in the end, Sarah.
Yeah, because unfortunately, when you do have minimal tyres in this game, it does really reflect on people's times. As we saw Coach earlier, trying to drag out those set of softs for as long as he could, it did reflect on his times. Obviously, they were a little bit slower than his few opening laps. So I think the same sort of thing will be happening to Kai at the moment. His lap time will be dropping as he dives into the pits, obviously getting off that. Louis dives into the pits as well, obviously needing to take on a little bit more fuel. But yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, that threw me off. I didn't expect Louis to come in, but obviously I didn't realise he had that kind of lower amount of fuel. But yeah, the 2 GTRs in. Oh yeah, I was talking about lap times, that's what it was. KD the Kai, as you saw on his times, obviously he set the fastest lap with a 1:32.8, but since that right front tyre died, his times were going up and up, and we're getting a little bit slower. So yeah, I think it was time to come back in. Let's put on another set of softs, so he'll have to come in again. So, unique strategy, very unique strategy there. Well, actually no, he goes on to another set of mediums. Sorry, my screen didn't catch up. But yeah, goes on to a set of mediums. We'll be looking to catch Coach in front of him, who is also on the mediums. So I think with KD the Kai, it will depend how many positions that he can climb. obviously we're about halfway into the race right now. So, yeah, half a race to go. I'm sure he'll be able to potentially maybe get on the podium again, if not very close.
Yeah, possibly. It depends on the rest of this race format, and if anybody else makes a mistake in front of him. You see Handy Pike coming in due to tyres and lack of fuel, as he only has 2% left. Promoted McManley up into P3, someone we know who's going to go quite deep into this race based on being on the hard tyre and medium fuel. Other than that, we have Pedro running quite a solid race in P3. Sarah?
Yeah, I was just having a look at Midnight, going on to a set of softs with just underneath a half tank of fuel. So, a slightly different strategy to the drivers around him. We all know that Midnight does like to choose some different strategies, so we'll see how it will play off later on into the race.
But they always seem to work, don't they, Sarah?
They always seem to work, yeah. They're weird but wonderful.
I say, I just want to say, what a fantastic drive he's been from so far with Hartman. Hartman up in, obviously one of our promoted drivers here tonight, currently running in fourth overall, and then Pedro obviously after that slightly poor start and a little incident with Koulios caused him to do a pirouette on the circuit in P5, Sarah. So they're both doing quite well at the moment.
Yeah, both drivers doing really well. I couldn't echo those words loud enough. Hartman being a promotion from Lobby 2 into Lobby 1, he's definitely showing he's got a lot of skill behind that Lexus. And with Haslett just behind him, so he just lapped his DSR teammate. So yeah, I mean, definitely showing the amount of skill that he has. He was a podium position driver in Lobby 2, and obviously the drivers who were on the podium with him have also been promoted with him. So he's got a few familiar faces, and he'll be getting to know a few other faces today, as well as learning other people's kind of racing lines, braking points, etc. So yeah, I think all Lobby 2 drivers that have been into Lobby 1 doing an amazing job so far, and it just goes to show that across the board all drivers that we've got in this championship are super talented, super fast, and I know we're watching Lobby 1 now, but I'm already excited to see what happens in Lobby 2.
I second it, Sarah. I absolutely. I always enjoy watching some good, clean, fast racing, and I'm sure that is what's going on at the moment within Lobby 2, whose highlights and the full race will be uploaded to the Night Hawkey Racing channel a few hours after this is concluded.
It will indeed. Thank you very much, Kirk. And Big Crazy Betty is the host of Lobby 2, so it'd be interesting to see where everyone else finishes there. And like Kirk said, it's always good to see some good clean racing, and if anyone does want to come and do some good clean racing with us and join the grid, feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to get in contact with the Nighthawk Racing admin team and or drivers in general, get to know a little bit more information, and if this is something you'd want to do, then we'd be more than happy to take on a few more drivers, so let us know. Yeah, as we get back to the race.
Right now, our closest battle on track is between Handy Pike and Coach for P7. Obviously, Coach boxing a lot later than Handy Pike did after running that first stint on the softs, a few extra laps. It certainly looks quite close between them right now, Sarah, as we see Coach going very wide, looking for a cutback line, which allows Handy Pike to run alongside. Does that better exit allow Coach to pull in front? It does. Is Handy Pint going to challenge it into this chicane? No, he doesn't. He slots in back behind for now, Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, Handy Pint is definitely like fully in control of that Porsche 911, and showing how talented he is in behind the wheel of that 911. I remember driving that 911 in season 1 and thinking, oh my god, it just keeps spinning out on me. So just goes to show that when you get a car that you're comfortable with, you can kind of extract every inch of performance, and I think that's what Handy Point is doing for sure. Obviously overtaking Coach there, Coach going offline a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like he picked a bit of understeer going through that chicane, which allowed Handy Pint to make quite a simple move in the end. As we see Hartman and Pedro pitting this lap, two underdogs. I think towards the end of this race, we could see up towards the front, Sarah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, I think on slightly different strategies than the other drivers, going that a little bit longer. So it'd be interesting to see if if they can both get back into the top 10 and be fighting for those kind of fourth down to top 10 positions. As we see Coach and Handy Pint, the gap between the two now is over a second, so Handy Pint has been slightly better on tyres. I mean slightly better, I mean Coach has got about a quarter front, right, left, as opposed to Handy Pint, who's got 3/4 of a tyre left. So yeah, Handy Pint driving the Porsche amazingly, getting every inch of rubber out of those tyres as he can. He seems to be quite good on tyre wear, Handy Pint does. Obviously it's been quite a while since he's pitted, and he's still got quite a lot of tyre life, as opposed to Coach in that Supra. A car that Coach really enjoys driving, is comfortable with as well, and it definitely shows in his results. So yeah, just maybe a little bit worse on tyre wear compared to the other cars around him. But maybe I think he'll be going for that lucky 5th place. As you
Interesting enough, Evo pitting and coming out on soft tyres, Sarah.
Oh, soft tyres. That's very interesting, because the soft tyres are not going to make it towards the end. I think we've definitely learnt that on the first opening kind of 23 laps, is that those soft tyres do not last long. But I was just watching Hartman getting up the back of KD the Kai. That gap is down to 9/10. Hartman is having an amazing showing. Obviously fighting the likes of KD the Kai for the first time, showing that he's definitely got to grips with that Lexus pretty quickly.
Was it sort of Katie? I say we saw last season with Katie Kai always up there, always challenging the likes of Swizzy. I think to be able to beat him, if he does beat him in this race tonight, Hartman has certainly got to be very proud with the performance he has put in tonight, Sarah.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
As we see KD Kai, commentator's curse for KD the Kai. Looks like on the exit at the corner, just getting a bit too wide, a bit too eager on the throttle, which upset the car and caused him to loop round, Sarah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've got that on replay. Just over the brow of the hill, goes for a little half spin, and like I say, similar to Pedro, keeps it out of the barrier, keeps that car damage free. So yeah, unfortunately, it just goes to show that the curbs are a little bit lethal, and if you go on the grass of the curb just that inch wrong, it does want to send you facing the wrong way. But I don't think that's how Hartman wanted to overtake KD the Kai. But KD the Kai coming back in, I think he'll be getting onto a new set of tyres, and he's also gone for a set of softs. A lot of drivers going for that set of softs. They do not trust those hard tyres at all. Obviously, the only hard tyre runner we have so far is McManley, and McManley is in 2nd. But even saying that, the tyre wear on that front right on the hards, that's surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. I said this track there's the long sweeping left-handers really punishes that front right tyre. Although to be fair, I'm not sure if Manley could get a set of those, another set of those hards to the finish. As we see, him and Malcolm getting very close, and Malcolm looks to make a move into the first corner. Can McManley challenge him? And McManley tries to look like, can he possibly hold it around the outside? No, he can't. Callum gets an easy overtake in the end. It looks like that Mr. McManley is not going to be able to stay out much longer, not only due to tyre wear but to fuel as well. And he almost runs a bit too wide in the S's. Yeah, Sarah. I guess it's battle on post pit stop, Sarah.
Yeah, definitely. I think those hard tyres, I expected them to go that little bit longer, if I'm honest. But obviously, like the point you just made, that this track and the degradation levels are just very high. And saying that, Louis in the GTR is looking to overtake Mac. So I think Mac will be seeing that the Dark Lord is approaching. So he'll be looking to get off those hard tyres, and it'll be interesting to see if he goes for another set or if he goes onto the mediums, if not the softs, because a lot of drivers around him have gone for the soft set of tyres. But I'm assuming that they're going to have to pit again. I'm not sure if they can stretch those tyres for 14 laps. So yeah, it's some interesting strategies across the board tonight.
Evo showing the true potential of the soft tyres by going almost 7/10 faster than the lap Mr. Katie Kai set on the soft tyres with a 32.2. I don't think we've quite reached Swizzy's hot lap pace of a 31.7 in qualifying, but Evo certainly looks like he wants to give it a try in this race, Sarah.
Yeah, and if anyone can do it, Evo can do it. Like I say, it'll be interesting if Swizzy can do a few more races later on in the season. It would be interesting to see these two on pace and having some battles on track, because I think both are very well. They're both champion material. We know that because of Swizzy winning season 1. So it'd be good to see those two drivers fighting it out in two different cars and seeing who comes out on top. But yeah, running away with a 9.2 second gap lead at the moment, with Callum behind. Obviously the two McLarens getting 1-2 again. It just goes to show that a car that you're comfortable with and you can extract quite a lot of performance out, it definitely reflects on your times and reflects on your positions on track. Obviously a few drivers swapping from different cars that they used in season 1, having to learn and adapt to new car characteristics, and some of the new drivers that have just, all they've driven in the championships have been the car that they're driving at the moment. They've got to grips with it quite fast and using cars that they're quite comfortable with. So yeah, I'm already looking ahead into the next race. I'm trying to pick out, like, who's going to do well at the next track.
I believe next track is High Speed Ring, isn't it?
It is reverse. Obviously, we did a High Speed Ring. Was it the first race of last season? I believe. And that was another very high tyre degradation circuit. So, obviously, doing it in reverse, you're going to get very similar results. So, if this race is anything to go by, and tyre degradation, next week is probably just going to be just as high. So yeah, I mean, all drivers kind of dealing with it and driving some really good laps. So it'll be interesting to see Swizzy's hot lap around there, because I can already imagine that's going to be super quick, and also the drivers, if potentially there might be other promotions. What have you seen?
We see KD the Kai and McManley coming to blows on track. that long sweeping left-hander. KD Kai's soft. Obviously a lot quicker right now than McManley's hard.
Oh.
Yeah, it's slightly come to blows there, Sarah. Maybe McManley just not quite seeing KD Kai come up the inside.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Or
I just got on board with Midnight as he was drifting that McLaren around that corner there. Nearly held it. I was going to say it was very impressive drift until he was facing the wrong way into a barrier. But yeah, unfortunately... Oh, KD the Kai coming to a stop as well. Facing the wrong way, doing some donuts. But yeah, so unfortunately, KD the Kai having a little bit of a spin there, potentially. We'll see if we can get it on replay. I'm not sure. I might have caught that a bit too late. I did catch it a bit too late. But yeah, unfortunately, two drivers coming together. It's not something that we like to see, but these things happen. It's racing. Kai picks up some damage, unfortunately, to a bit of aero and suspension. So they might have to pit and get on a new set of softs towards the end if he wants to make up any positions. But as I said, he comes into the pits. But yeah, going back to your earlier point, that GTR around here, it's not treating him well today, is it?
certainly it's not. Certainly not. It certainly seems like the GTR for Kai this season has been a complete handful compared to last season. He certainly seems to be struggling a lot more, obviously, after a poor round in Interlagos. He seems to be struggling again here tonight, Sarah.
Yeah, one person that's not struggling, Hartman. He's back. He's into third place. And what showing that is for him. Obviously, we're going to keep harping on about it, but a promotion from Lobby 2 into Lobby 1, he's definitely wanting to stay in this lobby with the performance that he's having today. Obviously, we have Louis just behind under a second. Both drivers, very talented.
Louis on the soft tire, is he doing a double soft to the end now? I suspect.
Potentially.
I'm surprised they aren't. I know he's really struggled. GTR has really struggled on tyre wear here. Here today and last week out in Interlagos. Yes, sir. I'm not sure what his plan is, but he certainly seems to be trying to make it work for him.
Yeah.
But he has to pit again and lose another 30 seconds. That puts him out around by Handy Pint, who's up in P8 right now.
It will indeed. There's Louis just made that move on Hartman.
I'm just confused. Handy Pint is pitted recently for a set of hard tyres, which I would have thought within this section you could take a set of mediums to the end now.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't catch that, but yes, Handy Pint going onto the hards. Maybe potentially saw McManley go onto the hards and thought, well, I can do that. But yeah, maybe a bit too late into the race to go into a set of hard tyres, potentially. But we won't know yet because obviously some drivers will have to pit, being on those set of softs. Making it 10 more laps around here is a difficult ask. So maybe potentially he might benefit later on. Obviously, you've only got 10 more laps. It really depends if the drivers around him are going to pit and if he can keep that track position.
Evo has been in the wall somewhere. He's got front end damage and it's lost a good 5 or so seconds to Callum. I just spotted that on board with him in first place.
Yeah, I was a bit too late to catch that on replay. But yeah, no front tyre on the right hand side. And like Kirk said, picking up some damage, picking up some aero and suspension damage, which brings him back in towards the arms of Callum. The race is on for Callum. Obviously, he'll be looking that Evo has somewhere had an accident or has come off, and Callum will be probably smiling ear to ear right now.
Looking at Callum's tyres, if he could possibly get to the end of lap 34, 35 of these soft tyres, he could take a set of softs to the end, which could see him make another overtake in the final few laps to win a race, Sarah. Because I don't think Evo could get a set of mediums to the end.
No. yeah, if, like you say, if Callum can hold on to those tyres and extend the gap a little bit, he's definitely a contender for the win right now. Someone that also will probably be grinning from ear to ear is Louis. Louis will be promoted up into third place, seeing that Evo is back in in contention.
Evo's come out on a set of softs.
Oh, a set of slays.
I'm not sure if you can get those to the end, Sarah. The set of softs.
He might be able to. There are only 8 laps left, so he potentially might be able to, if he looks after them, that is. But we all know that he'll be, with the blistering pace that he has, he'll be looking to get as close as he can to Callum before Callum needs to pit. Or if Callum is trying to go to the end on those set of softs, he'll be looking to look after them. But yeah, it'll be intriguing to go back and have a look to see where Evo did make that slight mistake, because we both caught it just after it happened. But yeah, it just goes again. It goes. Oh, Callum is in. That caught my attention. Obviously needing to pick up a little bit of fuel, and while he's there, he might be, getting onto a new set of rubber. Be intriguing to see what tyre he goes for. It's got to be the softs, right? 8 laps to go. Potentially. Where's Evo in contention here? Evo's coming out of the last corner. So Evo might be back into his pole position. Or they're both coming out. They're both going to go side by side into turn number 1. Obviously Evo coming at blistering pace.
See, that damage that Evo had to repair is cost him a slight bit of time. Well, a lot of time to Callum. And now this is race on between the both of them. The end of this race, although I think Evo maybe the slightly faster driver, Callum has track position, Sarah.
Yeah, and Callum will be trying to make that McLaren as wide as he can, trying to defend from Evo right behind him. Obviously, the gap is just under 2/10, so it's very close. No room for error, and very fine margins between the two drivers. But it's good to see the two McLaren drivers fighting it out and being so close to each other. It's just who's going to come out on top, as we see them going side by side again. Going into the hairpin again, still side by side. Who's going to come out on top? I'm scared to take my eyes away.
Yeah. So Callum currently leading up from
still
Evo.
side by
Callum,
side.
He's making a slight mistake there. He's making a slight mistake there by giving Evo not enough room once clearing him and not cutting off, taking the racing line. As we see Evo absolutely sending one up the inside of Callum into the final corner, but that also allows Callum to get a better run out the final corner into towards the first corner. Evo holding that inside line, forcing Callum to go the long way around, and Evo swing it over to open up the corner as best as he can. As we see, the guy getting in the way of the battle, possibly slightly due to leaving the pits. So right now, advantage Evo is he now has track position over Callum, Sarah.
Yeah, obviously it's still going. They're still really close to each other. Less than 2/10 separating the two. KD the Kai getting out of the way of the two McLaren drivers here. But yeah, it's all to play for. I've got to say, I'm loving this battle so far. Both on relatively new soft tyres, so they've got the pace behind them. Obviously, I was wincing at some of them going side by side into some of those corners, but both talented, and it goes to show that you can race side by side around a track like this. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see who comes out on top on lap 39.
Who would have thought after 33 laps of racing that we'd have the lead separated by less than half a second there?
I mean, I don't think we expected it, but these things happen, and I think obviously that damage for Evo, it brought him back into the clutches of Callum, and Callum will be looking to get another win under his belt, extend that gap. But I mean, both McLaren drivers. Oh, a yellow flag. Who's that for? Maybe it was just the game, saying, wait, yellow flag, slow down. But yeah, I think KD the Kai, unfortunately, obviously getting a little bit kind of in traffic, well, being the traffic, I shall say. A little bit unusual for him probably, but showing a lot of respect to the other drivers.
Sarah.
Sorry? We have lost a driver.
We lost a driver because
we have.
That could be what the yellow flag could.
We have. I will investigate. We've got Haslett. We've got Koulios. We've got Midnight. We've got Katie the Kai. We've got Coach. We've got Pedro. We've got Hartman. We've got Dark Lord. We've got McManley. We've got Callum. Oh, it's Handy Pint. Oh no. Handy Pint, unfortunately, having a little bit of a disconnect in the technical issue, which is not what you want to see. Obviously, doing so well the first few opening laps, but yeah, unfortunately, Handy Pint out of the race with a few laps to go.
That certainly shows how much of a race of almost attrition it's been. With the obviously the people who have been able to be kept it clean and consistent, such as your Hartman and your Pedros in P5 and P6 right now, Sarah, who are both running to the end of this race. As we see Louis looking to go around the outside of McManley into the hairpin, McManley going a bit deep into the hairpin, allowing Louis, just giving Louis just enough space around the outside, and Louis taking third place and that final podium position away from McManley, to which I don't think McManley can fight due to Louis being on pretty new stock tyres and McManley being on the hard tyre, Sarah.
Yeah, obviously McManley going for another set of hards in that pit stop that we were watching earlier. So I mean, I'm a little bit intrigued as to why he didn't go on a set of mediums, but potentially he's, comfortable on those set of hard tyres. He knows he can go that a little bit longer, but it's all about having the pace on those hard set of tyres, and compared to the GTR, it's going to be a tough ask.
I don't want to raise anyone's hopes, but currently Hartman is running about 2 seconds a lap faster than McManley, with four laps remaining. That gap is just over 6 seconds, so this could be race on for Hartman to secure what will be an absolutely insane P4 finish, Sarah.
Yeah, never say never. Obviously, we've got 4 laps to go. It's a possibility, or it might be one of those things where the drivers wish it was the race was that few laps longer. If it was a few laps longer, I would have got them, sort of thing. So obviously, the gap is now down to under 6 seconds with 4 laps to go. So it's definitely doable.
To put into perspective the pace of our top 3. We have Evo last lap doing a 32.6, Callum doing a 32.9, and then Louis or Darklo doing a 33.2, and McManley on the hard tyre doing a 35.5. So that hard tyre is almost 3 seconds a lap slower than the soft tyre, Sarah. So obviously doing that one less pit stop possibly hasn't quite worked. Well, that 1 or 2 less pit stops than the people in front of them haven't quite worked out for McManley, Sarah.
No, it doesn't look like it. Just goes back to that thing of the physics of the hard tyres isn't favourable. It slows the car right down. It doesn't feel comfortable. It's in my kind of view, it's very hard to drive on as well. It's very kind of drifty in a way because it's so hard to warm them up. A set of hard tyres, it takes forever. So yeah, if you're comfortable and you've got the pace, they're definitely a tyre worth trying. But I think a track like this, it just slows you down too much because of how high speed this track is and the swooping corners. So yeah, I don't think the hard tyres was the favourable tyre of choice today to go on, but it all provides data. It's all about data gathering as well. I'm sure that McManley will be kind of taking that on board for the next few races that we have, especially at high speed ring reverse. He'll be taking that on board, that maybe the hard tyre isn't the right tyre choice for such a high degradation track, but it's worth trying. and obviously he's still in P4, which is nothing to kind of raise an eyebrow at. P4 is still a mega result if you can hold on to it. I was watching Evo and Callum. Obviously that gap just over a second now. But the pace between the two, Jesus. Oh yeah.
Look at Evo's tyres compared to Callum's.
Oh my god, yeah.
This could be kind of. This could be raced on between the both of them.
It could be.
So is it me or has it gone? Is it me or has it gone very misty
It's
out
gone
on
very
circuit
grey.
as well? Sarah?
Yeah, it's gone very grey. I don't know if that's the sun setting or the game just being like, there's not going to be rain, but yeah, there could be.
We can tease them. We can tease them a little bit.
Tease them, yeah. Yeah, that very good spot there. Obviously Evo with minimal front right grip. That probably might bring Callum back into contention as we're on lap 38. So we've got this lap and the next lap, and Callum's got only.
You see Katie Kai, a bit wide behind there from Katie Kai.
It's game on. It's game on that Callum is back within 6/10 of Evo, with a kind of a small amount of corners to go until we're on the last lap.
Front right hit 0. The front right, Evo's front right hit 0. Is going to be.
And the gap is down to a 10th. The gap is down to a 10th again. It's heating up.
Malcolm trying to cause Evo a little bit of grief by looking up the inside. Getting a really compromising his exit up the hill though. But I say this is where Evo's going to really suffer now coming into this hairpin. Look how much slower he is. It's that tyre wear. That's Mark Callum gaining almost half a second in that hairpin alone. That Evo's got nothing left to fight with on them right hand corners. Going on to the final lap of the race, Sarah. This is Callum's best chance to win. Taking 2 feature race wins in a row. As he gets a good exit off the corner, which he does. That gap now 2.5 tenths as he's in that slipstream locked behind Evo. Is he going to possibly look to make a move into the turn 1? He's not close enough yet. But oh my god, he's hit him. The lack of grip from Evo is caught out on Callum. Is Callum now going side by side? You've got to think better of it than this, Callum. You're going to have more chances within the lap. You've got the tyre wear. You've got the feel. As he's run wide, Sarah. He's run wide.
Oh, yeah, compromising his exit a little bit there, but still within 3 tenths. It's all to play for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's again another long sweeping left. He's really going to suffer for Evo as Callum gets an excellent run off the final corner. Evo looks to defend to the left. Callum goes around the outside. Can he outbrake him running down the hill? Braking at just before the 100-meter board. Evo is outbroke himself. No, he hasn't. Is he going to squeeze
it's
Callum
side
off?
by
No,
side.
they're going side by side on the final lap, Sarah.
Oh my god.
No, I think this is possibly Callum's last chance into this hairpin, unless a big mistake arises from Evo. Surely this is Evo's race now, as the tyre wears are starting to equal out. Callum looking to go around the outside to get the inside line for this next corner. He sits back for now. Is he going to try and hit a cutback move on Evo into the final corner? Callum going to the outside of Evo to go into the final corner. Can he outbrake him? He tries to hold it around the outside. All Evo has to do is park it on the apex. Evo parks it on the apex.
It's going to be a photo finish.
7,000, 600s, 500s.
Oh.
He's not going to run out of time. He's not going to do it.
Oh.
Evo wins in the end by 32 thousandths.
That is the closest race finish I think I've ever seen. My heart rate was through the roof. If that's not a photo finish, I don't know what is. Oh my god, those 2 McLaren drivers, what a race! It took us obviously 39 laps between the two, but Jesus Christ. My god, that last few laps. Whew.
In the end, it looks like Hartman also managed to beat McManley on the final lap to secure P4 in what was his promotion race to Split 1. as he looks like Manley's a bit angry about that, losing his fourth on the final lap of the race. In the end, the hard strategy not quite working out for him in the end. And then our other promotion driver, Coach, finishing P7 with Koulios 10th and a DNFer from.
That was an interesting finish from Pedro. Yeah, Coach, the last runner on the track at the moment, coming into the final corner. And there's actually some rubber on his car.
Yeah.
I've just noticed.
You can't get much closer to that on the final lap, Sarah. Although I think Callum has got to be kicking himself because he made a few simple mistakes in that final lap of the race, which could have cost him, which have cost him in the end by 32 thousandths of a second, Sarah.
Yeah, obviously, it's again that thing, isn't it? That risk versus reward. There was a few mistakes, but he made sure to stick with him, and that was very close. I think that will be a picture to go down in the history books of this season. How close that finish actually was. So literally, it was so close. I think the stewards have to get a ruler out and measure how close that was. It just goes to show that Evo having a little bit of damage kind of towards the back end of the race really did bring him back into the clutches of Callum. So yeah, I mean, oh my god, I was speechless, but also like within that first couple of laps, it was all like the last laps, it was all going on, It was, I've got to say, brilliant commentary from yourself, Kirk, because you kept it together when there was me in the background going, yeah. But yeah, if there's people that want to jump in the podium room, we'll be over
Evo
there just in a second.
Callum. Yeah, absolutely a fantastic race, Sarah. Couldn't believe it. You couldn't believe it in the end, 39 laps, and in the end separated by 32 thousandths of a second. That's probably the closest. Well, that is by far the closest finish we've had in it, isn't it?
I think so. Definitely. I think that is the closest that we've seen. I think, yeah.
The only thing. I think the only time I've got to think just like that or similar would be Autopolis last season, Sarah. With
potentially
Swizzy overtaking.
Oh yeah, Jabril on the last lap. Although I think the gap was a lot bigger than that. But, oh my god!
Because they crossed the line, of course. But I haven't certainly seen anything that exciting in a while.
Yeah, and oh my god, it just makes me more excited for the races to come. Obviously, we've still got 6 races in the season, and we're only 2 races in, and this is how close the drivers are to each other. So, yeah, it's going to be a mega season. But Kirk, while we get ready to jump into the podium and do some podium interviews, if you could run me down the top 8 for me.
Absolutely, with pleasure. So, winning our race tonight by 33 thousandths of a second in the end is Evo. Then followed by Callum, who's got to be bitterly disappointed finishing P2. So close, yet so far. Possible. Anything changes in that race. If he improves the corner exit slightly, or carries a bit more speed through a corner, and he has won this race. Unfortunately not, he finishes P2. P3, Dark Lord or Louis. Bit of a race by himself in the end, finishing obviously 38 seconds back from the front 2 and another 9 seconds in front of Hartmann. He'll be happy with that. I told you, watch out for him tonight because he'll be looking at finishing on a podium, and he lives up to the expectations finishing on the podium. Following P4, what a fantastic drive from Hartmann. Promoted, this is his first race in Split 1, getting promoted from last week to this week. Been taking a P4 in his first feature race in this split. Words probably can't describe how he's feeling. I'm sure he's absolutely over the moon with that performance here tonight. Manley finishing P5 in the end, unfortunately losing fourth to Hartman on the final few laps. In the end, maybe doing hard wasn't the way to go. But P5, I'm sure he's more than happy with that in the end. Again, P6 Pedro, another driver today who is kept it clean, kept it on the track, and kept it consistent. Obviously, this truly was a proper race of attrition. Pedro obviously qualifying down towards the back, was actually last coming towards the end of the first lap, and obviously managed to rescue a very solid P6 finish in the end. Coach P7, I'm not sure what quite happened to Coach towards the end of the race. Obviously, he was running up towards the front in the first few stints, but ended up finishing P7. And then another unfortunate and just not the best races from Katie the Kai today. Again, and same as last week in Interlagos, I'm sure once he gets on top of the GTR for this season, he'll be back towards the front against Sarah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just takes a few races to kind of get back into the swing of things, adapt to the slightly different tracks that we're using. But yeah, running down P9, we have our very own Midnight in P9. Caught your drift earlier. I was going to say, if you held on to that drift around that corner, that would definitely be like a clip to use for quite a while. With the smoke as well, it did look very good. But yeah, unfortunately, P9 for Midnight, I think went on a different strategy that we saw went on to the set of softs kind of midway into the race. But still a good haul of points. P10 we have Koulios, again another one that was promoted from Lobby 2 last week. Is it now in Lobby 1? Having another good showing in that Subaru. Obviously, Koulios driving the RX Vision last season, so slightly different car to adapt to, but doing well so far and keeping it on the track, which is good. We then have Haslett, aka Saber Venom, finishing in P11 in the BMW, 16 laps down, so unfortunately kind of midway had to retire and sit in the pits, but again a good showing, and we'll pick up some points. And then in P12 we then have Handy Pint, who did unfortunately have a wheel disconnect towards the back end of the race, which was very unfortunate because he was doing very well in that Porsche and some fighting for some good positions. But yes, if you're ready, Kirk, we will pop over. I see Evo is waiting for us, so when you're ready, we'll head over to the podium room and have a quick word with Evo. If anyone else wants to jump in afterwards, feel free, and we'll be more than willing to have a conversation with a few other drivers as well. Yeah, if you're ready, Kirk, we will head over. As we just bring Evo into the chat. Where is it? I know it's here somewhere. Oh, there we are. Perfect. So, I think I've brought Evo into the chat. He should be here. Let me know if you can. There you are. But yeah, what a race! Oh my god, you had us speechless in that last couple of laps. I've got to say a massive congratulations before I hand you over to Kirk for some questioning and some grilling. But yeah, just a massive congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh my god, that is the closest race finish we've had so far. So yeah, you and Callum were on it all race long. So, yeah, definitely a race you should be proud of yourself for. But I will hand you over to Kirk, who's got some questions for you.
Absolutely. So Evo, obviously we saw you do very well in the races, both races here tonight. Let's hear it from your perspective. What do you think went well tonight for you?
Yeah. To be honest, coming into it, I didn't actually think it was going to be a strong race for me. It's such a tyre shredder, and I drive on pad, and it's known to tear its tyres up a lot more than the wheel because of the physics of how you're turning in a wheel compared to on a pad. So I kind of thought it was going to be a difficult race to kind of work with the strategy. It still was, but luckily I had quite a lot of pace with the track, with the car, to be able to kind of negate the strategy part of it. It's definitely at the end of my stints, I was struggling to kind of keep the same pace as Callum. I think my tyres were dropping off a lap before his, which was difficult to try and build the gap, knowing that you're then going to lose a little bit of it at the end. But yeah, it was just for me. I think it was just having that pace, getting away at the start, and from there it was just about controlling it.
We saw, was it getting towards the end of before your last pit stop? Where you picked up a bit of front end damage and lost quite a few seconds to Callum? Did you have like a half spin or something during the feature race?
Yeah, it was my first soft stint, and I'd run the tyre right to the bottom, and it was just going up the hill in the first sector. I kind of hit the curb um, in a weird way, and it bounced my car straight into the barrier at the top of the kind of slalom chicanes as you go up the first sector. So I kind of skipped over the grass, had dirty tires, whacked the barrier. So it was a bit of a probably I was probably being a bit overzealous with the tires, trying to take them another lap. But I was in between, stuck between a rock and a hard place because I knew I had to do that lap to make them go somewhat a distance for the last stint without losing out having to run the mediums. So yeah, that's what happened there. I think I had about 9-10 seconds, and I think I lost it all from the damage, dirty tires, and then having to repair the damage in the pit stop. Because I completely forgot it's heavy damage, so I was getting halfway around the track like, why's the damage not come off? Why's the damage not come off? And then it dawned on me, and I was like, oh no! So I knew it was going to be tight coming out of the pits, and I was kind of like kicking myself because I was like, oh, you've just thrown this away. But luckily, I was able to get a move done quite quickly, and then it was just about holding Callum off from there because he's a really quick driver, got amazing racecraft, and yeah, I knew when he was that close, it was always going to be dangerous.
Yeah. Um, and then obviously with the final few laps, your tires it completely shredded. Um, obviously we saw you do a fantastic defensive drive on the final lap. Um, entering onto the final lap, did you think you could hold him off, or were you really kind of like, you say, not fully giving up? Because his tires maybe been slightly better, but you knew that you'd have to pull off one hell of a final lap to really be able to keep him behind.
Yeah, I knew it would have to be a good last lap. I'd done it in the sprint where I think a few people would burn their tires up at the end, and I kind of was able to go cleanly around the outside. There was there was part of me that was expecting him to be able to just kind of run that outside line and you know overtake me easily, but I was kind of coming onto that last lap and was just being stubborn and just saying to myself, no, you're just gonna park it on the apexes, cover your inside line, don't make any don't give him space that you should be in. And yeah, so my mindset coming into that last lap was holding the position, holding the win. As I think I probably would have jumped out a window if I had led basically all 38 laps and then lost it on the last lap. So yeah, I was pretty determined to defend and hold first for the win. Yeah.
Well, I said, congratulations. That's all my questions, mate. Congratulations for tonight. So that's probably the closest finish we've ever had in one of these events, and you drove a very fantastic race tonight.
Cheers. Thank you guys.
It's all right. Just to echo those words as well. Yeah, that's the closest race finish we've had, but it's also the widest McLaren I've ever seen. A very good defensive drive over those last couple of laps, and like we said, definitely champion material. So you definitely want to kind of, I think, get some good results, and towards the end of the championship, it will treat you nicely. But yeah, I'm excited to see more battles between yourself and Callum. Obviously, both fighting it out in the McLaren. So yeah. Enjoy your victory and enjoy knowing that it's the closest finish we've ever had, and I'm sure replays and clips will be shared everywhere. But thank you again for your time, and thank you for being such a talented driver, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, looking forward to the next one. Thank you.
It's alright. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I think we've got McManley waiting in the waiting room, so we'll bring him in. Always nice to chat to Evo. Like I say, I'm sure he'll be fighting for more wins. But, I did bring Mac in and then Mac left, so I don't know if Mac wants to rejoin or... Well, there he is again. I'll try and move him. I think we've got Mac in again, potentially. He might be here. He might not be. Might just be the ghost of McManley. But if he is here, then let us know. But like I say, if there is anyone else that wants to join us before we end, please do. But McManley, if you're there. Or not. McManley keeps joining them, like leaving. We'll take that as a sign. We'll take that as a sign of potentially some issues. We'll try one more time. And as we see, I think Louis just joined the podium room, waiting room as well. So we'll bring Louis in while we're having some technical difficulties with Mac. We'll speak to Louis. If you're there, Louis.
I am indeed. I'm just trying to get you on a louder volume.
Nice. Well, it's lovely to have you here. A massive well done. That was a pretty good sprint and feature race. Tell us a little bit more from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the sprint race wasn't brilliant. I wasn't expecting much, to be honest. The tyre wear on that GTR is absolutely horrendous. So I was just basically just trying to get round, just see what happens. And yeah, I think I finished P6 or P7, I think, something like that. Qualifying was okay, not brilliant. I think I probably could have gone 2 or 3 attempts quicker than I did, maybe jumped up a couple positions. But yeah, started P7, got a reasonably good start. And yeah, just settled in and just run my own race, really. Didn't battle with people that I knew were quicker than me, just following around, saving a bit of fuel. And yeah, I knew the first stint would be a short one because the GTR, like I said, is terrible on tyres, but once you burn some of the fuel off, it gets a lot better. So I managed to run a decent strategy and sort of keep the fuel as low as I possibly could, just to extend the tyre life as long as possible. And yeah, it worked out well. I wasn't expecting a podium at all. I had no idea where I was in the race because I wasn't around anybody really. And yeah, to finish P3, I was quite surprised, really.
Yeah, and what a drive it was. Like you say, there was a few times where we could see that you were struggling with the kind of the tyre wear on that GTR. And to be fair, you and KD the Kite, it seemed like the GTR around this track was definitely a tricky one to handle. But yeah, getting a podium, nothing to frown about. You did really well. And yeah, a very, very good drive. I'll hand you over to Kirk if he's got any questions for you. If he's still here.
So Louis, obviously we saw the GTR really struggle with the tyre wear, as you said. When did it hit you that you were possibly going to get on the podium? Was it after the final pit stop, or how was it for you?
Yeah, I think probably I wasn't sure where I was. Sort of, so I'd done sort of 3 medium stints, and then as I pitted, I was sort of and ahh'd whether to run a hard stint to the end or run 2 soft stints. And I thought, well, we'll go softs. We'll just go for it, see what happens. And Yeah, I think sort of halfway around, once a couple of people behind me had pitted, and I saw where Mac was, and he was sort of about 22, 23 seconds behind. I know he'd pitted sort of a good few laps before me, so I thought, well, he's going to be on warm tyres, so I should, I came out about 4 seconds behind him, I think, and I was on fresh softs, and I thought, well, I should have him here, and I caught him pretty quickly, and I think he had no tyres after he was running hard tyres or something, and yeah, so that's when I sort of knew. But yeah, sort of halfway around the race, I had no idea where I was. I thought I was P6, P7 maybe, but yeah, I was surprised to be P3 in the end.
And you said in qualifying that you could have probably found a few 3 or 4 tenths on from your qualifying lap. Do you think if you did start maybe a few places forward, you could have challenged the top two today?
No. Don't think I would have got anywhere near. They're too quick. That McLaren's too good on its tyres as well. It's unbelievable, that car. Really, it would have been my top pick if it would have been available, but unfortunately it wasn't. So I went with a GTR for my sins. Now it turns out. So, but no, I don't think I even started. If I started P3 behind them too, I wouldn't have got anywhere near them today. They're just too quick for me.
And then looking forward to next week at High Speed Ring, do you think you could challenge them next week? Or again, do you think because of the high tyre wear on the GTR, you're going to be in the midfield again?
I don't know. I mean, that McLaren as well, again, in its fifth and sixth gear is really, really strong again. So I'm expecting those two to be up the front. So yeah, I mean, again, if I can sort of be battling for the final podium position, then I'll be more than happy with that next week.
No worries. Thank you for your time, Louis. Very impressive podium tonight. You don't need me telling you that. Yeah, you're a very fast driver. Look forward to seeing how you go next week, Louis.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, just to echo those words again, it's a pleasure to have you back. Obviously, a few races done in season 1, but it's good to have you back as a full-time driver. And just to echo those words, thank you for your time, and what an amazing drive that was. And hopefully more podiums for you in the rest of the season. And we look forward to watching you race that GTR. And I've got to say, a very nice livery as well.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
So we have Mac, but I don't know if we actually have Mac. So if Mac is here...
I hope we have Mac.
We have Mac.
We have me.
Mac is back.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that, Mac. How you feeling?
I don't like this game, and I am not playing this game anymore because I mean, the sprint was fine apart from my own mistake that I made, but that endurance, I did everything right. I tried a different strategy from everyone else, and at the second last lap, the game decided that I would ride the same curve as usual and just throw me into the wall. So yeah, I mean, it's just it's been a glitch for like 2 years, and it's ridiculous still in the game with this glitch curve and everything, where I ride the same curve and it just decides one time it's gonna hit me in the wall. But yeah.
Yeah, obviously went on that hard tyre. I think you were the first driver to go on the hard tyre. I think Handy Pint also went on the hard tyre slightly later. Talk to us a little bit about driving on those hard tyres, because we don't see a lot of people use them because of obviously that slightly different kind of physics, and they're very hard to drive on. So yeah, talk to us a little bit more about that.
I mean, I made the mistake last season of thinking the hard tires were going to be brilliant. So there was multiple races last season where I put on hard tires for no reason and then ended up like going to the back of the grid. But I felt this race was actually the one singular time it was going to work. It was actually quite fine. I mean, the only place I struggled really was like the last sector with like that hairpin and the chicane, but for like the fast speed corners, it didn't matter because I was turning the car in with like the kind of right hand side curb anyways. So no matter what tire I was on, I was going to be turning in anyways. So it felt actually quite good. It didn't really feel like the hard tires. It felt more like a medium tire, but obviously I was still losing time to the medium runners, but it wasn't as if I was like sliding off the track. I felt quite happy on them, which is why I did 2 stints on them. I didn't go on mediums after my hard stint. I stayed on the hards again. But
No, that's good to hear. Obviously, we know that it's not a tyre that we see a lot of because of obviously it's quite difficult to drive on. So yeah, obviously pulling it off, pulling 2 stints on the hard tyres is definitely a strong showing. But I'm gonna hand you over to Kirk. Kirk, if you've got any questions for our Mac, and yeah, and obviously a massive well done. Nevertheless, you did really well, and I know obviously it is quite difficult when the game kind of has other ideas for you towards the end, but just know that you did really well.
Thanks.
Back, looking back, obviously hindsight being 2020 and all, would you have done the double hard stint, or would you have gone for mediums?
No, no, the double hard is the way to go because I pitted on lap 12 out of 39. I went on the hards because I didn't want to go on the softs because I felt the softs would only last about like 5 laps. And then after I pitted on, I think lap 25 out of 39. So I had 14 laps to run. So the decision was either go an extra 2 laps than I already did at the start on the mediums when the mediums literally died on lap 12, or do I want to just run the hards when I already feel kind of good on them? So I decided I'd just take the hards. I didn't want to risk having like 6 second like deficit each lap at the last 2 laps, especially if there was going to be someone behind me. So I think the hard was the way to go for both instances.
And you mentioned in the final few laps that you had an incident with the curbs. Do you think, so say if you didn't have that incident with the curbs, do you think you would have held on to P4 in front of Hartman?
No, absolutely. I lost about 2, 3 seconds because of that curb incident. By the way, no, it was not turn 1 or 6 before the stewards start looking. It was the chicane. I was took my normal line through the chicane, and for some reason, the car like jolted a small bit, and then it just veered into the wall. So no, I would have. Well, it didn't veer into the wall; it veered off the track. But I think no, I would have kept P4. Was it? I think it's P4. Because yeah, I like Hartman was catching about like 6/10 a lap, and the gap was like 2 seconds. So unless I had made a mistake or lost another 1.4 seconds, which I don't think I would because my hards had at least about like 75% wear, so like I still had a bit of life left in them by the like last 2 laps. So I don't think I would have lost P4 if it wasn't for the incident.
Yeah, no worries. And do you think, looking forward, looking forward to next week at High Speed Ring, do you think, obviously another high degradation circuit, do you think the hard tyres would be the way to go again?
No. Oh, I don't think high speed ring is going to be that high deg. We saw was I actually I don't remember first season, but all I know is that the Merc is not going to be good there, and I'm not going to have a good time. But um, I'm not sure about the hards. I mean, they might work. I'm not really sure.
No worries. Other than that, we're unfortunate today to finish P5. Um, and obviously looking to the next week. Do you think you could challenge for a podium next week, or do you think the people in front of you are just too fast?
No, I won't. I won't be challenging for a podium next week. I'd say because it's just simply the Merc. The Merc it got buffed to them high speed tracks, but still, I'm still lacking when it's in comparisons to McLarens and like the GTRs. So like it was a helping hand, but it hasn't fixed the root problem. So I think for any of them tracks like high speed ring, I mean I don't like high speed ring in the first place, so I'd say no, there probably won't be a podium on the cards. I would have wished I got a podium today or even in Interlagos, but yeah, I don't know.
No worries.
Sorry.
Other than that, I think you should still be very happy with your drive. Obviously, doing an alternative strategy, obviously doing a few less pit stops compared to everyone else, was certainly seemed like the best way to get the most out of your race today. And I think you did quite well today, Mac. I look forward to seeing you drive next week.
Thanks.
Yeah, again, thank you for your time, and Congratulations on the P5, and we've still got a very long season to go, so I'm sure you'll be fighting for those podiums again soon.
All right, thanks. I'll see you next week.
See you next week. And we do have our very own Midnight ISO in the chat. If you're ready and able to chat, we'd love to hear from you.
I thought I'd come say hello.
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 How was your race?
The sprint race was great. Feature race, not so much, but it was entertaining at least. So, yeah. Did you see what I got up to in the feature race?
We did. Would it be the moment that you drifted round the corner?
Yeah, that was the corner which I definitely shouted on stream. New shorts, please.
We did watch that, yeah, and I was going to say it did look very cool up until the point that you were facing the barrier. I was going to say you were doing some Tokyo drift style racing there, but
It was not intentional.
but it did look cool. Like I say, until you were facing the barrier, and probably like you say, new shorts, Code Brown moment for sure. But apart from that, just seemed like a quiet race. And not too many mistakes that we saw.
Oh, you clearly missed half of them. I think I hit the barrier twice and had a spin once as well, or twice. Whatever it was, from practice compared to the feature race, I just could not settle in the car. The balance had moved from being front wearing to the rear wearing to front wearing. And I had to move the brake balance, and I just couldn't settle, particularly in through turn 6. And the big first chicane, and it was I just could not settle the car. So that's what happens when you're not comfortable in the car. You go backwards, and oops. But at least I had a good sprint race.
Yeah, it did look like a pretty good sprint race from your perspective. But Kirk, have you got any questions for Midnight?
Yeah, where do you think it all went wrong for you, Luke? Because in the feature race, was it just not feeling the car, or
Partially,
was it just tyre wear and that?
Partially. Well, the tyre wear was fine for me. I had a strategy. I was going to go double medium, double soft in whatever order. That was more or less fine and on course until I just lost the feeling in the car, and then I got in my own head, and then I was just going, making mistakes and going backwards. I mean, I was on the back of Louis for a long while, just taking it easy, and then essentially there was one point I yeeted myself off the course, so my own fault. That's what happens when you're, again, not comfortable.
Do you think you could have done anything better this week, or do you think it was just a situation of wrong car, wrong track?
Definitely could have done better. It's one of those races where it's happened a couple of times where practice has been very, very different to the race itself. Maybe I just been need to put some more miles on the races and lobbies and whatnot, get a bit more race prepped, because yeah, I definitely could have done better. On pace, I could have been somewhere around where Pedro and Mac was, but again, if you're not facing the right way, you're not going to be getting those positions.
And then looking onto high speed ring next week, what are your goals, and what do you plan on trying to finish?
Goals. So I'm going to try for a top 6, but we will see what happens.
And obviously at high speed ring, because obviously a lot of slipstream, a lot of straights. Obviously the pack will be a lot closer together. You think it'll be all to play for next week, or does it have Evo's name on it?
I think if there's going to be any race this season, it's going to be next race. That could be absolutely anyone's. It only takes one mistake, and then you're in the barrier around there, and that barrier is completely unforgiving. I think it's going to be a race where you have to be smarter. You're going to have to use a bit of slipstream, stay safe in the corners, but push where you can. So again, we'll see what happens and see who can come out on top. At the moment, I think it's a roulette of who might win that, but we'll see. Put money on Evo, and you might be a bit of a safe bet.
But
look forward to seeing you drive next week, Luke, and I'll pass you on to Sarah.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
just echoing those words, and I was saying that if there's one race to go back and watch, it's definitely this race. Those last couple of laps between Eva and Callum were something else. With that gap, it was definitely a photo finish, and don't worry, many pictures, many clips of that will be taken, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, nevertheless, a good race from yourself. I know obviously it can be quite difficult when you're not feeling comfortable with the car. I can relate to that quite a bit. But I'm sure obviously we've got a long season ahead of us. Still 6 races to go. 6 very different tracks coming up as well. So I'm sure kind of midway in you'll settle to the car nicely and be able to get up there and into those top 6 positions like you did last week. But thank you for your time. Thank you for the little chat. And I was just echoing that, looking forward to what Lobby 2 has to offer as well, because the racing in Lobby 1 over the past 2 weeks has been phenomenal.
perfect. And I look forward to seeing it as well. And thank you to all the drivers today who've put in a good showing and turned up and done well. So, yeah, absolute pleasure.
But yeah, that rounds off tonight. As you can see, we're just watching some highlights from the sprint race. But we will go and raid out in just a second. But before we leave, make sure to subscribe to the Nighthawk Racing YouTube channel. This is where this VOD will be posted later on tonight. Obviously, if you want to go back, watch the racing, please do. It will be on the YouTube channel. And also, Lobby 2, Race 2 will also be on the Nighthawk Racing YouTube channel. So make sure to go and subscribe over there. Give it a watch, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. And put your notification bells on so you know when we post. And like I say, I'm sure many clips of the last few laps between Callum and Evo will also be posted there. But apart from that, thank you again to the drivers, to the viewers, to everyone that's involved. It's been a very good evening again for round number 2. And looking forward to round number 3 next week at the high speed ring. Obviously racing reverse this time. So a new challenge for the drivers. A track that isn't the easiest to handle, but I'm sure if anyone can do it, this bunch of drivers can do it. But yeah, we will treat you to Swizzy's hot lap again while we say goodbye. But from me and from Kirk, it's a goodbye, good evening, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you next week. Kirk, anything else you want to say?
Look forward to seeing you. Not a lot. Just I'll say what you say, Sarah. I'll look forward to seeing everyone next week. I'm sure maybe not as close at the finish, but I'm certainly looking forward to some more close racing next week.
But yeah, good night. Enjoy Swizzy's hot lap yet again.